Hello, 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 world. I want to share with you as we close out Black History Month. Today is the last day of Black History Month, and I want to share with you a video by Dr. Joy DeGruy. And if you don't know who she is, do some due diligence. She is very popular. She has done a lot of research. She's written books, and she speaks a lot about what's going on in America in terms of Black people. And I want to share this video with you as we close out the month of Black history because it sheds a lot of light on what's going on within the Black community and the mental illness within the Black community, where Blacks have never had healing from slavery. And she shares this such important message. So let's take a listen, and I will give my perspective as we close out Black History Month. And today being the last day of Black history. So let's let Dr. Joy DeGruy take it away.
And see, America's dissonance is we have a country that has prided itself on democracy, on send us your poor, you're tired, you're huddled masses yearning to breathe free, one nation under God. And all of those great, wonderful pronouncements would be great if at the same time you weren't enslaving
Right,
African people and committing genocide against indigenous people.
right.
How do you reconcile that conflict? And again, here's the thing that's so deep. They say, well, it's so upsetting and troubling. We can't teach African American history. We can't. Well, it's not. It's history.
Right,
Okay, first of all, but we
right.
can't teach it. It's going to upset the little children. They're going to feel guilty. They're going to, be cowering in the corners. Well, my niece recently, this is very recently, that the last year or so, her job was to go around the state of Oregon, and share history. And she shared the history of Thomas Jefferson, oh boy, and Phyllis Wheatley, and then she would give them these questions afterwards. And one of the things that Thomas Jefferson said was that black people weren't smart and could not be creative. They could not produce art.
Right.
Right. These are the things that he said, and in my presentations, of course, I show things that really contradict that whole idea. But she asks her students, these are sixth grade, predominantly white students, she asks them, why do you think Thomas Jefferson might have said that black people weren't smart and couldn't be creative? And one of the kids said, well, when you objectify people, it's easy to look at them as lesser than you. Another one said, because if people thought that black people were smart and black people were creative, then they wouldn't want to make them slaves.
Right.
And then that would lose him a lot of money, right? Another one said, well, he's racist. The other one said, over and over again, I said, do these sound like children cowering in a corner,
Right.
afraid? No, they're clear. And they're not going to adopt those perspectives of their parents. That's why they don't want it taught. What's the problem? They can't, Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, all of it. And so when you think of that, if we're eliminating Rosa Parks,
Come on.
you think I'm going to let you talk about American chattel slavery? The rape, the pillage, the destruction of people, the experimentation, all of those things?
Yeah.
No, but this is the truth. And I believe that truthfulness is the foundation of all human virtue. Without truthfulness, you cannot attain the other virtues. You have to first tell the truth.
Yeah.
And that's fundamental as an educator, as a clinician. When people come to me for therapy, when I was, doing one-on-one therapy, inevitably they'd come with a presenting problem. Well, it's my 14-year-old. She's acting out. And I'll start there, but there's always a secret. And the secrets make us sick.
I want you to get into this because even when you talk about in the book, which your book is on the banned book list,
Yeah.
your book, you can't put this in the schools.
Oh, no.
And I was telling my sister, I was like, I think we need to make our book club a banned book club.
Yeah.
Because we have to be able to make sure that our children, that our friends, that our cousins, that our sisters know this information. because it's hiding right in plain sight.
Yes.
Because you talk about the secrets keeping us sick, and how many of us, when we look back from a cultural lens, right, at our own lives and our own families, and we see how sickness and disease plagues Black people at alarming rates. And you really give voice to that because you talk about, we can look at Harriet Washington's medical apartheid. You talk about the experimentations. I want you to talk about how we have allowed the secrets to keep making us sick.
So one of the things that I did is I began to, my family is from Louisiana. My father only went to the 6th grade.
The Asiatic Black man.
Asiatic Black man. He was serious. My dad, but my father used to he'd make this statement. He'd say, if a white man has a cold, then the Black man has pneumonia. Right. And so part of the injury, the assault on Black people is them beginning to believe some of the myths. The other thing is to understand, because inevitably someone always asks me, they go, well, how do I understand? How do you connect connect slavery with contemporary African American behavior? I said, how can you not?
How can you not?
How can you not? 339 years of trauma and survival and adaptation. You learn how to survive in hostile environments. And surviving isn't always pretty. It isn't always pretty, but it's very functional. So I have to give examples of how that shows up. So one of the things I do in my audience is I'll say, well, if I shoot this person that's on the front row, is everyone in agreement that they're traumatized?
Yes.
And everyone goes, yeah, I think we can go with that.
Yeah.
Right. I said, all right. So now the person that's seated next to the person that's shot, they too are traumatized because they saw it. Someone in the hall hears the shot, later finds out who it is, they're traumatized. They call the person who's been shot, they call their family that are in Oklahoma and tell them what's happened, they're traumatized. Now, at the same time, you may have someone that's just maybe one aisle away that saw the whole thing. They're interviewed, well, what happened? Oh, it was awful. There was blood everywhere and it was so sad. When's lunch? Not traumatized. So everyone's not traumatized by a traumatic event because we have a differential response to stressors as human beings. But when we talk about slavery, we're not talking about a single stressor. We're talking about lifetimes of stress and trauma. Lifetimes. It is not plausible that you can escape that with no injury.
Right.
Now, we are all familiar with post-traumatic stress disorder, right? And what happens to people. Exaggerated startle response, right? Difficulty falling and staying asleep, feeling of foreshortened future, triggers based on things that resemble the original event. All of these things happen by a single trauma that could be experienced directly, like the person shot or the person that got the phone call in Oklahoma. You follow me?
Yeah.
All of them could end up with a diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder requiring medication and people talking to them softly twice a week. Right? You weren't even there.
Right.
So what do you think happens when you have been there and you have been borne the brunt of that? Right? And then people go, well, then didn't y'all get free? Oh, yes. So now let's do the math. 339 years of trauma. Get any help with that? When, and again, this is difficult to hear, but when someone decides that your 8-year-old, they're going to pass around to the evening men because that's their proclivity. Or they take your wife or your friend, or they sell your baby from your arms. Did we get any help for that? Right. Was there any therapeutic assistance? No, not for 300.
I want to stop and share a little bit of perspective because Dr. Joy DeGruy is right on target with what she's saying. And again, I am Louise Hicks, your host of this podcast, Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour. Please share this. This is the last day of Black History Month. And we need to really start doing our due diligence, do our research, know our history, because there is a lot of trauma. And she makes the distinction between PTSD and PTSS, post-traumatic stress disorder and post-traumatic stress syndrome. When you've gone through these traumas over and over and over from slavery till now. And she made the statement about being free. Well, that can be questioned. That's what a lot of people say. Well, you people are free. Free to do what? If we're so free, why are we still out here fighting? Why are we passing bills such as the Civil Rights Act of 1964? So where is the liberty? Where's the liberty? Where's the healing? That is so important that we start paying attention to our mind. And I often mention that scripture, for God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And Dr. DeGruy makes a very, very profound point. How do you have a sound mind when you think about the generational trauma of rape? And this is passed down. This is our history. Castration, hangings, beatings, working you until you fall dead practically with no compensation. How would you like to go out and work close to 24 hours per day with no compensation and the brutality of it all? That's a hard pill to swallow. And I'm so glad that we have Black History Month. However, our history is every day of the year, 365 days of the year. That's how I look at our history. Because we do have a lot of sickness and disease within our community, and a lot of it has to do with the medical system is highly corrupt. It has to do with substandard care. And I can share a story with you, but I won't do it now. I have shared it with you on my on this channel. Check it out, where my son lost his leg due to the corruption within the medical system and the various layers of bureaucracy, where he could not get the health care that he needed immediately. Check out the video that I did on that because it could help you to save one of your loved ones. And I've been fighting this healthcare system for about 25 plus years now. So I also have a bachelor's degree in social work. So I know something about people. Plus, I've lived on this planet for about, will be 74 years on next Tuesday, March 4th. So I have so many horror stories I can tell you about discrimination and the trauma that many Black people suffer on these jobs. That's why it's so important that we come together, pool our money. We have over probably $2 trillion going through our Black hands annually. But what do we have to own? What do we own? We need medical facilities. We need our educational institutions so we can educate our children. And did you hear what she said? Her book is being banned. And I know Florida is one of those states where they want to ban everything. It's okay if our children suffer various traumas, but their little children are not supposed to hear the truth. And you heard what she said about the children in the classroom, what they were saying. They had some food for thought. And we know this stuff is taught, is taught by the parents of these children. They're not born that way, unloving. It's taught in the home by racist parents. And we cannot allow that fear to enter into us and our children. We need to teach our children. We need to teach them to become entrepreneurs. We need to have our own manufacturers, our own banks, our own schools, as I mentioned, our own medical system, because I'm going to do some videos next month about the medical system. I've done some. Please check them out because it's important to have an advocate whenever you need to go to the doctor. You need to have an advocate. That is so important. And by all means, we have to read more because reading opens the mind to so many opportunities. So, with that said, I'm going to continue and carry on with Dr. Joy DeGruy and wrap it up. So, give me a moment here. Let me get back to the video because it's very profound as we celebrate Black History this month in February. And like I said, I believe in celebrating Black History every every day of the year. It's important to me, and I've always taught my children and made them read about our
39 years, we
history.
did the best we could to heal under hostile environments. And then you got freed. Great. Any help then? What, anybody have any data that suggests that we said, well, we know it's been deep. We know, we've sold away your family. We've beaten and lynched people.
And how
Was there
many
any
years did she
therapeutic,
say?
and again, this is difficult to hear,
Let's
but
listen
when
at that.
someone
I
decides
back
that
it up
your
a little bit.
8-year-old, they're going to pass around to the evening men because that's their proclivity. Or they take your wife or your friend, or they sell your baby from your arms. Did we get any help for that?
Right.
Was there any therapeutic assistance? No, not for 339 years. We did the best we could to heal under hostile environments. And then you got freed. Great. Any help then? What, anybody have any data that suggests that we said, well, we know it's been deep. We know, we've sold away your family. We've beaten and lynched people.
Right.
Let's do some group therapy. No. Nobody
No,
showed up.
nothing.
Nobody showed up. So now, 339 years of trauma, no help. Freed, no help. Did the trauma continue?
Absolutely.
You bet it did, all the way up to 2025.
Hey, Vault family, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this clip, make sure to check out our full interview on our channel.
Okay, yes, I enjoyed this. This was great. Great interview by Dr. Joy DeGruy with the interviewer here, and you can see her credits here on the screen as I shared the video. Dr. Joy DeGruy, I've been watching her and listening to her for years and years and years. And the part about what Thomas Jefferson said, that was really what a lot of people think today. The people that feel that they are superior to Black people, which I don't call anybody superior to me, because I always tell everybody your power lies within you. Let it loose because your destiny is your command. And we are not inferior to anybody on the planet. And that's what you have to recognize and realize and teach your children to understand that. Teach them to speak up and speak out. Teach them how to articulate themselves. That's so vital that we teach our children to become entrepreneurs. We know everybody cannot become an entrepreneur. However, there are so many brilliant Black people out of the millions of Black people in America that can become an entrepreneur. And a lot of it has to do with economics, of course. However, with unity, we can overcome so much of that. We can overcome it. And we know the debt is owed. And I speak about the debt. I'm not afraid to speak up and speak out. Reparations is owed. Who in this day and age would go and allow themselves to work under adverse circumstances, beaten? And Dr. DeGruy talked about all of it. Your children stole from you, raped by white slave owners. Black men, if they're caught with a white woman who has them programmed to do whatever they say, and they are lynched because the white woman is going to say, "Oh no, they raped, they did this, they attacked me." And that's what went on in slavery so much. And they don't want it to be taught. That's why in the public school system, it's not going to be taught. That's why it's so important to teach your children, get books, have your children to read. I used to do a little community group with children back when my kids were growing up. And I had some of the kids to come over and we would read together. We need to do that. We need to get back to those roots where we are teaching our children. We're reading with the children in the community. We're getting our children away from all of this uh, rap that's so degrading of our women and promoting drug abuse, promoting killing one another. We, of all people, the atrocities and the trauma that Black people have gone through from slavery up through now, we should be the last people on the planet to be killing one another. We should love one another. You should love yourself because that's how you're able to love one another. Loving, self-love is so vital. It's so vital because if you can love yourself, you can learn to love another. And with that said, Dr. Joy DeGruy said it all. She's made such a profound speech. And I hope you share this video. Again, I'm Louise Hicks. Please share. Please give it a thumbs up. Give it a like. Leave your comments and your thoughts. And I hope you are getting books that will inspire and teach your children our history and teach them about entrepreneurship. That's so vital because we are a brilliant people in spite of what Thomas Jefferson said. We are brilliant. If we weren't, why are we copied so much of what we do and what we create? And that's a fact. And with that said, again, Louise Hicks, please share, please subscribe to the channel because there's so much more information to come. Give it a like, thumbs up, and by all means, again, leave your comments. With that said, much love and see you in the next video.